Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back again with Belandris. What's up, buddy?
Hey, everybody.
And Cheesy. Hey,
Yo,
Cheesy.
what's up, everybody?
And we're going to finish up the constitutional amendments for you. So we got some bangers here. Not really. These ones are pretty self-explanatory. They're all, they're all kind of to the point. So, but we'll give opinion and talk about them as well. So let's get stuck into it. 1951, Section 1. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of the president more than once. But this article shall not apply to any person holding the office of president when this article was proposed by the Congress, and shall not prevent any person who may be holding office of president or acting as president during the term within which this article becomes operative from holding the office of president or acting as president during the remainder of such term. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of 3/4 of several states within 7 years from the date of its submission to the states by the Congress. So this is the Eisenhower rule, right? Roosevelt rule?
I believe it's the Roosevelt rule.
Roosevelt, yeah. So he continued to serve terms. I think he served 10 years, right? Correct?
I believe that sounds correct. It was for quite a while.
Yeah. And most of it was during World War II, or in that general vicinity. So we obviously needed to limit the 2 terms, which I think ultimately was a good thing. I think any more than 2 is you're infringing on other people's ability to run the country. So does anybody have any strong opposition or feeling towards that?
I mean, to be dissenting is to be like, yeah, you know what? I would love to have a monarchy. Like to have one supreme leader. So I mean, if you're for that, or if you're for that, then you're against this. So
that's true. So dissent is not.
I want to be like North Korea.
Yeah, North Korea sounds nice this time of year.
They have a hotel.
Oh, they have a hotel now?
I thought they had a hotel in one.
Well, I'm going to have to visit there and make sure I get me one of those pictures of Kim Jong.
Exactly. I heard that they have free posters up on the walls.
Oh no, that's the other Korea, isn't it? No, that was Russia.
No, that was Kim. I can't remember the individual's name. He was put in jail for taking a picture of Kim Jong-un. And he's the one that was transported home, basically dying. Or did he die over there?
It was a
Otto Warmbier?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be cool to go one time, but I wouldn't do it because you'll probably end up in prison.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm okay on not seeing North Korea.
Once you see one Korea, you've seen all Koreas. So I mean,
that's true. That's what I hear. So, all right, enough of that one. Amendment 23, or the 23rd, some may call it. 1961. Section 1. The district constituting the seat of government of the United States shall appoint in such manner as the Congress may direct a number of electors of president and vice president equal to the whole number of senators and representatives in Congress to which the district would be entitled if it were a state, but in no event more than the least populous state. They shall be in addition to those appointed by the states, but they shall be considered for the purposes of election of president and vice president to be electors appointed by a state, and they shall have met in the district and perform such duties as provided by the 12th Article of Amendment. That is there only one section to that?
That appears to be correct for the 23rd
Okay.
Amendment.
No procedural?
I didn't see it, so must not exist. So I don't like this one. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a fan of the
This is
23rd
essentially
Amendment.
making DC a state.
Well, it's making DC a state for the purpose of representation in the House of Representatives.
Yes.
So, I think DC should have their local governments, like their mayor and things of that nature. But I don't think that the District of Columbia, the seat of government, should have representation in that government. It was particularly designed to not do that, and for them to override that is, I think, a poor decision. If I wouldn't be in favor of it. So
I don't think DC was ever intended to be as big a city as it's become.
Agreed. I was
That's
about to
also
mention
correct.
that. I don't think they've ever intended it to be a city. It was supposed to be sort of a monument to government.
Right. But I thought people were supposed to be relatively in Virginia and Maryland, not really live in DC.
Right.
Yeah.
Although
So I think-
that was the idea. I mean, I don't know at what point where they're just like, oh, this would be perfect for housing and whatnot. But they did.
They did. And I mean, it's kind of foreseeable when you're going to have, again, this goes back to that argument of big government, little government. Because if you had limited government and didn't have as much interaction with government as we do in our everyday lives, then you wouldn't have had to have so many support staff and so many other people. But with it being as large and bloated as our federal government is, it really puts a strain on people transiting to the other places to be functional. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, I guess, I mean, this amendment kind of benefits in a way to something we were discussing earlier about the intent to create a state of DC.
A couple days ago, you mean?
Yeah. So, earlier, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
The other day, for
Don't
sure.
give up the illusion.
Everything's an illusion. We won't get into that. It's a different subject for a different time. And ladies and gentlemen, Blandris will now perform a magic trick. But what I was going to say is that that in a way, this amendment sort of protects us from them outright seeking statehood.
He's not doing anything.
That's the magic trick.
I'm not.
That's the magic trick.
Oh,
there's one trick I can do.
No.
There's my trick. I made cheese disappear.
Cheesy, come back.
And
whoa.
Did you try to? No, I kept him gone.
Whoa. I mean, I've never seen the underside of the stage before, but that was pretty cool.
Shut up. You're not supposed to give the trick away.
Oh.
You are the worst audience member ever. Why do I pay you?
Huh, you
no, you're a complete random volunteer.
You said there would be peanuts.
The peanuts are later.
24. 1964. Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors for president or vice president, or for senator or representative in Congress, shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any other state by reason for failure to pay any poll tax or other tax. Section 2, the Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. And at the end, yep. So, we have to tread lightly here.
This seems oddly specific. That doesn't. Never mind.
So the 24th, what it does is eliminates you having to pay to be able to vote. It also eliminated things like religious tests or IQ tests or different things of that nature, different barriers to vote. And a lot of these were in the Civil Rights Act. So you had one in 64 and 67, or just one of those. I don't remember. But in the 60s, you had some civil rights legislation. And one of those was that they would try and disenfranchise different groups of people by various methods. And what this amendment aimed to do is make it so that anyone can freely vote. I don't really disagree with the amendment as it stands.
No.
I disagree with the people that I disagree on a personal level with the people that don't take time to get informed to make their decision to make a worthwhile selection in elections.
Agreed.
So I think if people took it more seriously, then it would be much more. But that only tangentially applies to this legislation. So or amendment. So anything else,
I think
gentlemen?
part of that problem with people not being more involved or educated is a big shift in the education system. And I saw it even when I was going through high school, the less emphasis on civics.
Yeah, for sure. I think that also goes hand in hand with something when we're talking about voting and things of that nature is being involved. And love him or hate him, one thing that President Trump did is get a lot of people involved in politics. Maybe too overly emotionally, but he certainly brought in droves of people that were previously uninterested or disinterested in politics to the political sphere. And I think that's something that will have a lasting impact even after he's gone. So
yeah, well, I find that interesting. When I was going to school, we worked on a lot of Honda Civics, so I'm not quite sure where you're going with Belandris.
That's not
not the same thing.
All right, for the younger generation, there used to be a class that you would go to where they would teach you about the rules of government. What is the three branches of government? What do they do? What does the Supreme Court do? What is a bill? It's a bill on Capitol Hill. You know, and these classes have been removed. It's very odd as to why. There's no real reason to remove them from school. I feel like that is significantly more educational than any additional class as to like math or English or whatever might be these days. But yeah, that's what we're speaking about. Not Honda Civics. Honda Civics are a car.
Well,
sorry, I'm just playing against Year 5.
It was when I went to high school. It wasn't. There was no civics class for me. Even it was just covered in maybe a section of American history, and that's when we got the whole school rock thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the song? Can you sing it?
No.
I mean, it's the I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill, something along those lines.
I don't think that's the melody, though.
I mean, I might have not got the melody, but it was pretty darn close. But Belandris, what was the melody?
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that wasn't it.
You're pretty sure that wasn't it, but you don't remember what it is.
We might play it at some point.
I was about to say, I mean, that shouldn't be copyrighted. You should be able to play that.
Yeah, I'll look it up and maybe I'll add it to one. So the 25th Amendment, We've heard a lot about this one as of late. As of the last, say, 7 years. 1967, Section 1. In the case of removal of the president from office or his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. Section 2. Whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation by a majority vote of both houses of Congress. Section 3. Whenever the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, and until he transmits them to a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the vice president, acting as president. Section 4. Whenever the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting president. Thereafter, yeah, go for it.
Yes, I was going to say, it's a pretty long one. Mm-hmm. Thereafter, when the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume the powers and duties of his office, unless the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive department or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit within 4 days to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and the duties of his office. Thereupon Congress shall decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for that purpose, if not in session. If the Congress within 21 days after receipt of the latter written declaration, or if Congress is not in session within 21 days after Congress is required to assemble, determines by 2/3 vote of both houses that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall continue to discharge the same as acting president. Otherwise, the president shall resume the powers and duties of his office. And then here's 26.
So 25th. We heard a lot of this with President Trump. We should probably hear a lot of it, more of it with President Biden. The question is when are you unable to discharge the duties?
Right.
And I think that it's going to. I think this is much more designed for its intended purpose when a president passes away, or goes into surgery, or
might have dementia.
Well,
I can't perform their
too hasty.
Allegedly.
No. This is what ifs. What ifs? In the case in which a president has dementia and cannot perform the duty, this is a mechanic, a way to be able to remove them lawfully from office.
Correct.
They used
without
it
impeachment.
very, very well, like most things, very incorrectly in regards to President Trump.
Absolutely.
Quite abusively. They abused pretty much everything, and they certainly were trying to abuse the Constitution, which reverts back to the conversation we had the other day regarding Adam Schiff and his abuse of position, which garnered him the correct decision to censor, but incorrect decision not to go past that. I don't know that I can't say that he specifically was one of the ones cheerleading and being very not prolific, maybe prolific regarding this amendment. But there were a lot of people within the Democrat Party saying that this was the correct thing to do with President Trump, even though, as we all know now, that there's nothing mentally wrong with Donald Trump. There's nothing physically wrong with Donald Trump. Again, just an abuse of power to claim that they could use the 25th Amendment to remove him from power.
Right. And if anybody was going to use the 25th, it would be with the current commander-in-chief that definitely doesn't have dementia.
Certainly doesn't have dementia. I mean, even though all the signs show it, I mean, I don't personally believe that he has it.
Right.
And yeah, so if anything, they do potentially have a valid impeachment. So I don't think that the Republican Party will seek to use the 25th Amendment, and even if they did, they would probably be met with resistance, an outcry that they're being ridiculous. I mean, because clearly the President of the United States is not suffering from dementia or any dementia-like symptoms.
We just as you said the other day that we are not biologists. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying that I might notice some similarities between former Vice President Joe Biden's behaviors and my grandmother, who'd passed away from Alzheimer's.
Okay, correct. So as a slight, expert, you could say that. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I have to admit to everyone, I'm not a doctor, but I did play one on a video game. So I mean, take that as you will.
Yeah, but when you kill everyone in Surgeon Simulator, do you really qualify?
I was thinking more of along the lines of hold on one second.
I'm scared he's going to get us heated.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, I used to not just talking about video games, but I used to be very, very efficient in the game of Operation. For those who might not know this, it was a game in which you had to be very careful, very diligent, have a lot of education, and remove little pieces of organs and bones from a two-dimensional human being without touching the sides and setting off a buzzer.
He's qualified. You're blowing on your mic again.
I mean, if I were to be brought into court as an expert witness, as you've heard today, my qualifications are very high.
Okay. So Amendment 26. We're gonna have to wrap up pretty quick here, gents. So 1971, Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of age. The Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Setting the voting age at 18. I'm surprised that it took so long to make it 18. I don't know what it was prior. Was there a...
I'm pretty sure it was younger.
Okay. Or maybe not an age limitation at all. I don't know the history of it.
I mean, is this one seemed... This one's also clearly another mistake. 18-year-olds are obviously not mature enough to vote because they're not mature enough to drink. They are mature enough to go die in the military.
That's true. They're mature enough to do other things we're not going to talk about on this channel.
So I was absolutely incorrect. So the voting age prior to 1971 was the age of 21. And It was a reduction. So it's interesting that it was done by a Democrat. But yeah, it was... Well, no, I don't think it was. I'm wrong about that. Might have actually been Nixon, a Republican. Right? Yeah, it was under Nixon. Let's see here. 1971. So the House majority in 1971 was Democratic. So it would have been done and signed. It would have been passed by a Democrat Congress. Okay. What about Senate?
So Democrat Congress, Republican president.
Looks like it was a Democrat majority Senate. So this occurred during a majority Democrat House and Senate, but it was signed by Richard Nixon.
Okay. So, yeah. I mean, I don't see a problem with 18 as the voting age. So. All right. So 27th Amendment, and then we're all finished up. 1992, no law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened. Damn. So yeah. This one, they said they could pay themselves more. That's the last thing, and you can directly attribute that to, them being more selfish and for themselves. So, I think it's interesting that we have such a bill like this or an amendment like this that said they could, vote for increases in pay. And, yeah. So that's...
Yeah, I know if I ran a business, I'd want to make a policy where my employees could determine their own wages.
Absolutely. That's the American dream, right? So
just one thing to add. I looked it up because I wasn't too sure that the president had any effect on the any amendments to the Constitution, and it turns out that they don't. So the Congress proposes an amendment in a form of a joint resolution.
Okay.
And since the president does not have a constitutional role in the amendment process, the joint resolution does not have to go to the White House for signature or approval.
Okay.
So, yeah, amendments to the constitutions are, I believe, strictly the Congress, but I'll have to look into that a little bit more.
Okay. That's good to know. So, all right. Does anybody have anything else to add to this last amendment?
No,
it should be repealed. It should definitely be
Yeah.
repealed.
Definitely should be repealed.
It
I think we can
should
agree on
be
that.
up to the vote of the citizen at each whatever variation. I think it's every 2 years for Congress. So it should be something that's brought to vote at that time. And that way you can have a true approval or disapproval of your Congress by voting on their pay.
I like that a lot. You do it like a millage, congressional pay. So awesome.
There we go.
Well,
I think we should definitely start lobbying for a repeal of this amendment and bring it back where it belongs, to the American people to decide whether or not a Congress member deserves to be paid a lot of money, more than most.
Again, that's something else I don't think the founding fathers ever intended, was that you should not be getting into political office to make
money.
Make money. You should be there because you want to make a difference. You want to help your country and represent your people.
Yep. It should be national pride, not your own personal interest.
Exactly. Like, most people don't get into interpretive dance for the money. They get into interpretive dance because they want to show the world what they've got.
That's true.
And
all
that's
right,
why
gentlemen.
I got into
So
it.
how long have you been doing interpretive dance, Chief?
72 years.
Holy.
Wow.
Yep, I identify as being involved in it for 72 years. And that's my interpretation.
So you identify as a dancing granny?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm interpreting it in my dance right now. I wish you all could see it. It's very beautiful. And I flow like a princess.
And on that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to jump out of here. Thank you so much, gentlemen, Mr. Cheese and Mr. Blandris. It is much appreciated. And we will catch you all later.
This was fun.
It was a lot of fun.